Imagine hiring people to protect you only for those same people to turn around and kill you all because you have too much money. This is the unfortunate story of Captain Hadiza Lantana Obo. Hadiza was the first and only female pilot of Nigerian Airways. During the 80s and 90s, she was a true trailblazer, and she was adored both within and outside the country. Long before she turned 40, she already owned her own mansion in Ikoyi, Lagos. It was said to be a very big house, a beautiful mansion. But the problem was, Hadiza lived alone. She wasn't married, and she didn't have any kids. She had employees, a gate man by the name of Abdullahi, and a substitute gate man who doubled as a gardener and electrician by the name of Peter Eche. She also had a driver by the name of Itoro Akpan. So these were the people she left her house with. Hadiza was known to travel a lot. Sometimes she would be gone for days, weeks, and even months without returning to her house. It was the nature of her job as a pilot, but she left her house in the hands of her employees till whenever she got back. However, on the 8th of February 1998, Hadiza returned from a month-long journey, and when she came back, her gateman Abdullahi helped her carry her luggage up to her room. Now it was said that this is the first time Abdullahi was entering into her room, and when he entered, he saw a whole lot of things. He saw dollars, pounds. According to him, he saw money of different currencies laying around the woman's bedroom. He also saw jewelry and designer clothes. Even after he left the room back to his gateman quarters, he didn't stop thinking about all the valuables that he saw in this woman's bedroom. Now, just for clarity, the murder of Hadiza is recorded to be on the 8th of February, even though it would take about months before people realized she had been killed. It is still unclear to know the time frame between when Abdullahi saw these valuables in her room to when she was killed. Now for more clarity, and I think this is where Hadiza might have messed up. Abdullahi had been fired before he wasn't even supposed to be there. When she came back, Abdullahi was Hadiza's first gateman, and throughout the course of him working for her at a particular time, she fired him. It is unclear why she fired him, but looking back now, I guess she must have seen that this guy was not a good person. And I've done videos on this, how the people who are close to us tend to be the ones who hurt us. And I've said this before, most times these people show us who they are, right, before they attack us. And I think that was the case with Hadiza and Abdullahi. Abdullahi had shown Hadiza who he was, and Hadiza had seen it and decided to fire him. When Abdullahi was fired, Hadiza hired another man called Peter to play the gateman role and also do some gardening and electrician work in the house. So Peter was the new gateman. However, days before Hadiza was set to go on a trip, Peter told her that he had to go to his village and see his family. This sudden departure shocked Hadiza, who was like, "But Peter, I'm traveling. Who is going to look after the house while I'm gone?" But clearly, Peter had other plans. And so when Peter left, Hadiza decided to rehire Abdullahi, a decision that I guess we can now say was not the best. On the 8th of February, she came back, and apparently from then onwards, it was almost as if Abdullahi had planned this long before she even came back. On the day she was killed, it was said that Hadiza had gone to her kitchen to prepare dinner. While she was in her kitchen preparing dinner, Abdullahi was busy opening the gate for the two other accomplices that were in this plan to kill Hadiza with him. Abdullahi would go on to do the killing. He went to Hadiza's backyard to wait for her, as she was in the kitchen cooking a food that she wouldn't even taste. It was said that Abdullahi attacked her from behind with a rope, choking her and strangling her. It was said that Hadiza tried to put up a fight to see how she can get away from this. It was also said that she begged, but apparently Abdullahi's mind was made up. After a long scuffle and struggle that even included blood and scratching and injuries, Hadiza gave up the ghost and died right there in the kitchen. After she had died, Abdullahi called his two accomplices that turned out to be Peter and Itoro, the substitute gateman, and the driver. Those were the two people that Abdullahi had planned with to kill Hadiza. Together, these three people took Hadiza's body to the septic tank in the compound, where they tossed it in and then cemented over the septic tank. After they had buried Hadiza in the septic tank, they all moved into Hadiza's house and began to see how they were going to share these properties amongst them. Itoro, the driver, began to use Hadiza's vehicle as a taxi on the streets of Lagos. And while all this was happening, Hadiza's friends and family and colleagues were coming to visit her. And when they come to the gates, they would knock, and Abdullahi would answer and tell them that my madam is not around. She traveled. However, there was one particular man who was not comfortable, who had his suspicions. This was Hadiza's next-door neighbor, who happened to also be a police officer. This man from his compound used to see how these guys were moving Hadiza's properties. When he saw these supposed gateman and gardener and driver moving Hadiza's properties from her house, he decided to go and check. When he went there, he asked them, "Where is your madam?" And they told him the same thing, "Our madam has traveled." But this man was like, "You can't fool me. I'm not stupid." Instantly, this man called for backup. He mobilized policemen, and they came to Hadiza's house, arrested Peter and Itoro with someone who had also come to buy property of Hadiza. So these three people were arrested, but Abdullahi was on the run. When they took Peter and Itoro to the police station, at first the police treated this case as a theft case. They were being charged for stealing. At this time, they did not know that Hadiza was dead, because Peter told them that Hadiza had traveled, and this was 1998. There was no GSM phone or Facebook to check, so they believed Peter. So while they were treating it as a theft case, the police were launching a manhunt for Abdullahi. At the same time, the family of Hadiza were raising eyebrows. 1 month has passed. Hadiza had not returned. 2 months has passed. Hadiza had not returned. 3 months has passed, and Hadiza had still not returned. It was at this point that they were like, "You know what? There is something wrong." Even the people she worked for at Nigerian Airways were also looking for her. So the police were like, if the airline she works for are also looking for her, what does this mean? It was at this point that the police decided to take a second look at Hadiza's house. When they went, the second time, they did a thorough search throughout the house. They went to the kitchen for the first time. That was when they saw the rope that had been used to strangle Hadiza. The food Hadiza was cooking before she died, everything was filled with cobwebs. Even blood stains were found on the floors of the kitchen. So it was at this point that the police knew that, okay, this is more than just a theft case. And upon searching the compound, the policemen stumbled upon the septic tank, and they noticed something was odd. It looked like it had been newly cemented. And just like that, they broke into the septic tank and saw the decomposing body of Hadiza Lantana Obo. The body was recovered, and at this point, the story had changed. These people were arrested for theft. Their charges has now moved to murder. Also, at this point, Abdullahi had also been caught and arrested. Soon all four of them were arraigned in court. While they were in court, they pleaded their case, and the case was set to go on trial. But somehow, the judge in the court granted bail to these four culprits. And it was like, what is happening? When Nigerians heard the news that these four people who had killed Hadiza had been granted bail, they were like, okay, this is a joke. What is going on? A lot of Nigerians were calling for them to be rearrested. And when the police went to find these men, they had vanished. The police had to go through the bail documents, and they had to go through the addresses that were signed only for them to discover that the guarantors had lied. The names, addresses, workplace that these guarantors had written and signed in the document did not exist. And that, my friend, was how the four killers of Hadiza Lantana Obo got away. Up till this day, the killers of Hadiza Lantana have not been found. They all ran away. It has been over 26 years, and Hadiza Lantana has still not gotten the justice that she deserved. Justice was so close, yet due to the carelessness of the system in place at the time, these killers got away. This is the unfortunate tragedy of Hadiza Lantana Obo, one of those cases that we are still hoping that one day justice will prevail, no matter how long it takes. So thank you guys for watching, and I would like to hear your thoughts on this case. Do you think that Hadiza would ever get justice? And what are your thoughts on the fact that Hadiza lived alone and wasn't married? Because a lot of people who are familiar with this story blamed it on the fact that she was single. I want to know what you guys think about that. Do you think that is true? Or do you think, regardless, it could have still happened? Let me know your thoughts in the comment below. Don't forget to like and share this story with your friends. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do well to subscribe and turn on your notification button. So whenever there is a new video, you will be the first to know. Thank you for watching.